Jesus! Oh God! Oh God! Holy shit! Holy shit! What have I done? What have you done? What have you done? Indifference. I think that was my first initial reaction to Lilo and Stitch. There was some funny stuff in it, but for the most part, I felt indifferent. My reason for it, probably because at that time was a very weird time in my life. Again, you know, once you get to a certain point, your mind tells you in certain ways that you're too old to be watching Disney movies. You're too old to be enjoying cartoons. Why are you here? Why are you watching a cartoon? And I was at that point in my life because in around 2002, you know, I was around 13, 14, and, you know, edgy teenager phase. Just like, I'm too old to be watching cartoons. And I think at that time I didn't realize just like cartoons are still, you know, are still able to be enjoyed by adults. I mean, adults can enjoy cartoons if they want to. It's just, again, the stigma of enjoying a cartoon when you're supposed to be growing up and getting into stuff like, you know, watching football, which I do enjoy watching football. I enjoy watching a lot of sports. The sport I probably watch the most is UFC, you know, or MMA rather. UFC. I just did it. I did it subconsciously, but I hate when people deliberately just call MMA UFC. It's like, oh yeah, bro, I watch UFC. Especially dudes who are just like, oh yeah, dude, Brock Lesnar, he totally knocked someone out with his side control, bro. Yeah, sure thing. But around this time, it was a very interesting time in my life, and I remember watching this in theaters with my not nephew, my cousin, and actually both cousins. Yeah, they were both with me when I went and watched it with them. And I was responsible for bringing them back out of the theater once the movie was over, because it was just me and those two. So yeah, Lilo and Stitch. I'll say this. There's one thing I will say that I hate Lilo and Stitch for. It was the alien experience thing at Disney. Let's see. Let me see if I can find Disneyland Stitch's Great Escape. Yeah. Stitch's Great Escape was it used to be one called where is it? History. Here we go. Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. And I remember that was so awesome. I loved it so much. And then just nothing. Just it turned into basically a Stitch thing that was not as engaging. I mean, hell, I remember watching it and it was pretty scary, especially for a kid, because, you know, it had the little air things, the little air cannons behind your head, so it made it feel like that the creature was roaming around behind you and was like blowing behind your back and everything. It was so cool. And now it's gone, and it was replaced by Stitch's Great Escape, and Stitch's Great Escape is now done. It officially got closed in 2018, so I don't know what's replacing it. Let's see. Let's see. It doesn't really say what has replaced it. The attraction was permanently closed, and the attraction signage was taken down 2020. But they're not saying what is replacing it. So I guess maybe we'll see. I don't know. But that's really the only thing I can say I dislike about Lilo and Stitch. As I've gotten older and I went back and watched it again, I saw that this had a lot of heart to it. A lot of heart, a lot of imagination. And I'm glad that I was able to watch it, and I'm glad that, you know, I'm still able to enjoy it all these years later. So, anyway, let's see what Doug thinks of Lilo and Stitch. Here we go. This is the Nostalgia Critic, Lilo and Stitch. Let's get to it.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you don't have to. So you're feeling young and full of life, like you got years and years ahead of you, and you realize this came out 20 years ago. Then you're like,
Sort of.
getting old sucks.
Yeah, it does, but C'est la vie.
Back in June of 2002, Lilo and Stitch was following a line of animated Disney movies that were not pulling in the numbers they wanted. In a desperate attempt to fill seats, they resorted to a strange but memorable advertising campaign where Stitch would interrupt other classic Disney films. Though this had nothing to do with the story's plot, it did get some people laughing.
Hey, get your own movie.
I have questions about Jasmine. The ads worked as Lilo and Stitch became a decent hit at the box office, but in time it's become so much more. With 3 DVD sequels, a TV show, and anime. Big deal, anyone can get one of those.
That's right, I remember seeing that. Nostalgia Critic and AVGN were in an anime. That's awesome.
And countless merchandise, Lilo and Stitch has surprisingly become bank. Ironic, seeing how a lot of Disney's more expensive movies at the time haven't gotten nearly as big a return. When I first saw it, I remember really loving the story between the sisters and found the alien stuff okay. I honestly felt like there was a quiet Ghibli film trying to get out, but it was being interrupted by the Smurf version of Gollum. But something happened over the years.
Yeah.
They grew on me. And again, with all the Stitch memorabilia, it clearly grew on others too. Through the sequels and TV show, I actually did find myself enjoying Stitch and his alien pals a lot more. So I'm curious if this likability was something I overlooked in the original, or if it was something that was added later in the additional spin-offs. Either way, it's going to be fun looking over this gem again, and I'm excited to give it another look. So let's look this over before it becomes something crazy like a Broadway musical.
They're making Lilo and Stitch a Broadway musical?
I'm not watching this to see if that's really a thing. Let's take a look at Lilo and Stitch. We open at the Galactic Federation headquarters where the Grand Councilwoman, just named Grand Councilwoman, discusses what's to be done with a mad scientist named Jumba, played by David Ogden Stiers.
Illegal genetic experimentation.
Disney wants your head unless it can be turned into a purse. The experiment is named 626, voiced by co-director Chris Sanders, and the council wishes to see if there's any good in him. Only green aliens can use that word.
My favorite part of that is the robot. The robot right here, as soon as he says it...
The council wishes to see if there's any good in him.
As soon as he says it, all of a sudden the robot's just like, oh god! Just starts hurling nuts and bolts.
Only green aliens can use that word.
It's so good.
The design of Stitch is pretty unique, and passes the silhouette test where if you only saw his shadow, you guess immediately who it is. He can also pass as both cute and threatening at the same time. I guess how many dogs can, which factors later into the story. They tried to banish him to an asteroid, but he escapes and steals a ship. Chubby Piglet says he's landing on Earth, Kohai to be exact, and another alien named Pleakley, voiced by Kevin McDonald, tells them they can't harm the planet because of an endangered species called mosquito.
We've been using it to rebuild the mosquito population, which, need I remind you, is an endangered species.
So I kinda have a love-hate relationship with this character. Every time his voice starts to get too annoying, he says something funny enough to keep me liking him. Similar to these characters.
Yeah, I'm glad that a little self-deprecation goes a long way. That's actually pretty funny. The Minions, yeah, I agree with that. Buster, yeah. Again, I think that there's more good than bad with Buster. Ron gets better as the show goes on, and I haven't watched much of Bob's Burgers. I'm sorry, I love H. John Benjamin, but I just haven't seen it. I'm only aware of certain memes.
Pleakley is sent to Earth with Jumba, who's offered his freedom for Stitch's capture.
626 will not come easily.
Wipe that smirk off your face!
Where we're introduced to Lilo, played by DeVay Chase.
Every
Thursday I take Pudge the fish a peanut butter sandwich. And today we are out of peanut butter.
And if her voice sounds familiar, it's because she played every little kid in the early 2000s.
Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. This time was when she was the girl. Like, she was the spirited young girl. Her as Chihiro, or Sin, in Spirited Away, like, she was awesome in that. She was awesome as Samantha. She was awesome as That's funny that it was the two, like, horror films, well, semi-horror, considering Donnie Darko. Samantha, Samara. That's actually pretty funny. But Lilo and Stitch, I guess this was sort of returning to Spirited Away, which, the Spirited Away films, when they were in the hands of Spirited Away films. Sorry, it is very late and I'm very tired. So the Miyazaki films that were handled by John Lasseter, basically, I still think stand the test of time and are great dubs in their own right. And they spared no expense finding the best actors for the roles. Anyway, sorry, back to this.
The reason? Well, she's really freaking good.
Yes.
From Lilo to Zen, she always finds a vulnerable believability that for other child actors would sound whiny. But she sells it because no matter what the subject, she always sounds like it's important to her.
You rotten sister, your body is crushing me! Why do you act so weird?
Who would care about a fish eating a sandwich? I do when she's done talking about it.
I can't give Pudge tuna. It's fish! If I gave Pudge tuna, I'd be an abomination!
Fish, soil, and green would disagree.
Okay. I'm glad that they kept the dialogue like a kid. And they didn't just be like, that would be cannibalism. Or either that or Disney's S&P department would probably have a conniption fit. For those of you who are interested in hearing more about Disney's S&P department, look up Emil Hirsch, or not Emil Hirsch, but well, oh my god, his name just left my mind. Alex Hirsch. Sorry. Look up Alex Hirsch's battles that he had with Disney's S&P department over Gravity Falls. It is hands down some of the funniest shit I have ever seen in my entire life. And the fact that it's real and there's actual evidence of it is some of the funniest shit ever.
You're crazy.
Oh, she's also a violent little shit.
Yes.
Lilo might be one of the most realistic child characters, not just in animation, but cinema in general. Because she is odd. Children are odd. She's also a troublemaker, but there's a relatable reason you can understand. Her parents are gone. So you can identify with her troublemaking oddness as well.
No! I'll be good! I want to dance. I practice.
With that said, she's also very sweet. After beating up that girl, she's like, oh, yeah, no prob, right? I don't know. Want to see this weird-ass shit I made that's everything to me? When they mock it, she throws it on the ground and leaves it, but finds she can't because it means so much to her. Whoever wrote this either has, or at the very least, understands kids.
Yes.
I get why Stitch is on all the merchandise, but I assure you, if Lilo wasn't done this well, nobody would be buying them.
This is true. I mean, if Lilo was an unrelatable character or was just as bland as paint, I mean, yeah, this would not have worked. That's the reason why it's called Lilo and Stitch. Stitch may be the merchandise pusher, but the heart of the film is Lilo. And God, my brain, I'm trying to think of all the hold on, let me see here. What was...
Whoever wrote this either has, or at the very least, understands kids. I get why Stitch is on all the were the real, but I assure you, if Lilo wasn't done this well, nobody would be buying them. She's where the real comedy and emotion comes from. If it was pretty much any of the kids from the previous Disney movies, their connection would not be as strong, and I don't think Stitch stuff would sell as great.
Hey! Watch where you're going!
Speaking of which, I think a lot of adults can identify with her older sister, Nani, played by Tia Carrere. She's stuck both raising Lilo and trying to keep a job, but the two don't exactly complement each other.
I'm gonna stuff you in the blender, push puree, then bake you into a pie and feed it to the social worker.
Things get worse when the social worker, played by Ving Rhames, named Cobra Bubbles. Because why normal now?
And again, I think that is an odd one for me, is because, Cobra Bubbles, why not just call him Agent, what would be a good one? Agent Pineapple, or Agent Mango, or Agent, I don't want to say Agent Orange because that's a little too on the nose. Agent Coconut. That'd be a good one. Call him Agent Coconut instead of Cobra Bubbles, because I don't know. I just think that's a little too hammy.
Is noticing Nani is having a hard time coping, to say the least.
Thus far, you have been adrift in the sheltered harbor of my patience.
In a lesser film, he would be the bad guy, but there really aren't bad guys in this. There's just difficult situations. Cobra only cares about what's best for Lilo. Captain Gantu is a cop trying to protect the planet. Even the dude who proclaims himself an evil genius dresses up like Santa at the end. If you told me that going in, I'd say this movie's bullshit, but they make it work here because everyone is likable and, as I said, strangely believable.
Yeah.
But simply, the characters are interesting enough that they don't need a villain to impact the drama. And for a studio with so many classic baddies to say we don't need one here, that's really saying something. And yeah, okay, I guess I should talk about the dryer in the original being replaced with a pizza box.
I remember that. I remember that so vividly. That I remember when I watched it in theaters, I thought nothing of it. But I always noticed that there was something off later on in various versions of the film. I was like, why is that so odd? What's going on? And then it was pointed out to me, and ever since then I've just been like, holy crap! I thought I was having a Mandela effect moment, where I'm just like, I thought it was a dryer. I could have swore it was a dryer. A pizza box underneath. Also, why is it? I was literally about to lose my frickin' gourd. Thankfully, though, the internet exists and basically exposed what really happened. It's actually a pretty interesting story, but anyway.
First off, they had it hard enough, but now these two don't even have a dryer. Second, in my opinion, this is where the P in PG comes into play. Because yes, there's gonna be things in this kid shouldn't do. But with that said, it doesn't really change the characters or story at all. I can see something like Han shooting first being worth talking about a little bit because it's changing the persona of the character and we lose a little something.
Han shot first.
Not really losing anything about the characters with this change. And I guess it's to help stop a common accident, so I'm not really that peeved.
Go to your room! I'm already in my room!
The film is very clever to show after...
Also, I'm sad he cut out the pillow screen like the... One of my favorite lines back in the day is like... And then it cuts to two dudes doing it. It's just... Oh, I love
their
it.
outbursts that these two really do care for each other. And that what's keeping them in their difficult place, their parents passing, is also what uniquely unites them to get through it.
We're a broken family, aren't we?
Maybe a little.
The film's also very good at, I know this is going to sound strange, naturally emphasize over and over that they're sisters. In previous screenings, parents kept saying what a bad mother Nani was, despite them saying several times that the parents were dead. To fix that, they literally say the word sister 3 sentences in a row.
We're sisters. I like you better as a sister than a mom. And you like me better as a sister than a rabbit, right?
Again, in a lesser film, I feel like I'd be focusing more on how this setup doesn't work. I mean, it seems like they're showing very clearly she can't take care of the younger sister. But their chemistry is so good and their love for each other so strong. Shit, I get teary-eyed watching these scenes a little bit.
Oh. Yes, I do.
I mean, anyone with a weaker amount of strength would get teary-eyed at that scene.
Yeah, again, when you're invested in the characters and they have those moments that are very human, and again, great storytelling, and Chris Sanders is one of the best. Like him and Dean DeBellois are two. Like them working together on the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, and then Chris Sanders going off and doing his own thing with the Croods, but Dean DeBellois basically continuing the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. And there's a reason why Stitch looks a lot like Toothless. And again, when you're good at writing characters, it doesn't matter how cliche the story is. If the characters are interesting and the characters have heart, have depth, and can be relatable, and we can identify on certain things with them, then yeah, dude, there are so many things that go into the nuance, or like go into like the little intricacies of a character, and this film does it tremendously. It really does.
Yeah, where's that Grover the Hedgehog? Just as Lilo prays for a friend, Stitch crash lands and gets knocked out, resulting in the locals confusing him for a dog.
You're all mine.
Aliens are growing on me, if for any other reason, the wanton destruction. I love that Jumbo would destroy his creation just as quickly as he made it, and even the alien's first reaction to him landing is gas the planet.
We have to gas the planet.
How are there this many alien species left if that's always their first solution? Stitch catches on and disguises himself as a dog, pretty much using Lilo as a human shield without her even knowing it. Yeah, there's some sick meanness that's winning me over.
This is low even for you!
After passing the Mulan walk.
I want that Mulan McNugget sauce, Morty!
Please, that's so 2017. And 1998 somehow. Stitch steals a kid's bike, which Lilo has no objections to, and realizes he's surrounded by water, which he doesn't react well to. Quick side note, if these backgrounds look different from other Disney films, it's because they're watercolor, reflecting Hawaii's tropical landscapes. It's not done often, but they use it in most Lilo and Stitch spin-offs, including the TV show. You can shake an apple off an apple tree. And I'm sorry, the cruel editor in me has to see if this will look as funny as I think it will if I cut it shorter. You can shake an apple off an apple tree. It didn't disappoint.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that too. What if he just yeets it back into Lilo's face? What then? Oh.
See Doug play Jedi Fallen Order Fridays on Twitch. Hope to see you there.
Nice. It's a good game. It's a great game, buddy.
Nani is forced to bring Lilo to work, where she runs across her friend David, played by Jason Scott Lee.
I just figured you might need some time.
You smell like a lawnmower.
David is probably the only character that's bland in the movie and bland in the spin-offs. He's not bad, but he feels like he's there just to show Nani will eventually get help with Lilo. Jason Scott Lee can bring a lot to a role, which is why I kind of feel bad he's underutilized, but again, he's by no means a bad character.
Don't worry, she likes your butt and fancy hair.
She thinks it's fancy?
Also, unless you plan to kick it, I don't think you can say butt in a Disney film. Pleakley and Jumpa try to catch Stitch in an attack that, again for Disney, is a little intense. He should look like Mike Wazowski after Sullivan ate him. Nani is blamed and fired from her job. Since Stitch seems way too out of control, Nani says she wants to get rid of him. And Lilo teaches us the only other Hawaiian word everybody now knows, aside from aloha.
Ohana means family. Family means
nobody gets left behind.
Or
forgotten.
I'm only keeping him because he legit likes the album Dream. I still can't explain why, but this look Stitch gives makes me laugh hard. It's a look that says, I don't know what you saw, but you didn't see it. Stitch discovers with nothing to destroy, he has no purpose, so he tries to find some by reading bedtime stories like The Ugly Duckling. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool these designs are a callback to Disney's Oscar-winning short.
Then the ugly duckling is happy because he knows where he belongs.
Okay, bullshit. Alan Jane has Superman. I have Ugly Duckling. I guess we're both ripping off E.T. anyhow.
Yeah, that does bring up a good point. Despite the story having a ton of tropes that have been done to death, this still somehow does feel fresh and new. Both Chris Sanders and co-director Dean DeBlois have specialized in taking stories that you've heard a million times and breathe new life into them, almost making you feel like you're hearing them for the first time. I think a lot of that is the uniqueness of the characters and their quick relatability. These protagonists are completely different, these antagonists are completely different, and these supernatural characters are completely different.
Yeah.
So it feels like an entirely new journey.
We've been having a bad day.
While trying to find a new job, they run into David, who decides to take them surfing. Stitch finds his fear of water fades the more he sticks around.
There's no place I'd rather be.
While a lot of people associate this film's soundtrack with Elvis, I dig how there's more traditional Hawaiian-style songs that make their way into this too.
Yeah.
In fact, this film is praised quite a bit for how accurately they portray Hawaiian, particularly Kauai lifestyle. No, I'm sorry, that's not a shave ice. Now that's a shave ice.
Holy shit.
Stitch gets dragged under the water and pulls Lilo with him. They survive, but Cobra sees the whole thing and decides to put Lilo in a different home. Cobra! Again though, I love how he's not being an asshole about it. He legit just wants what's best for her.
I know you're trying, Nani, but you need to think about what's best for Lilo.
No, didn't you see? She climbed into a pizza box, not a dryer!
You know, I really believed they had a chance. Then you came along.
Yeah, before Stitch showed up.
Yeah.
Totally had a chance.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This leads to a pretty emotional moment where Nani sings to Lilo, Aloha Oi. Again, in lesser hands, this could be botched so easily. Honestly, just saying that out loud, she sings Aloha Oi rather than say what's going on, actually sounds comical. But Tia Carrere's acting, some great animation, and refreshingly no music in the background can easily get you pretty choked up.
Until we meet again.
Damn it, where's the bite-sized gonzo?
Lost.
Oh, come on, that's even worse! Pleakley and Jamba are taking too long, so they're fired, which means Jamba can finally take Stitch his way.
Hiding behind your little friend won't work anymore.
Okay, when I measure the fact he doesn't care if a child gets caught in the crossfire, I'm liking these humorous but demented aliens more and more. With that said, I do think the climax of the film is a little underwhelming.
It's because of what they had to do because this came out after 9/11. Oh Lord. I saw the original cut, at least clips from it, and oh my god. Now it wouldn't be a problem, but less than a year, just about 9 months after 9/11 happened, yeah, it's a bit problematic. I would love to see them restore the original version. I'd love to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen because too much time has passed and that footage is probably lost forever. Now, it could be reanimated, but I don't think Disney's willing to shell out the money for that. But anyway.
I think they focused so much on the comedic and dramatic expressions that when it came to the action and slapstick, it's not super funny or exciting to watch.
I just remembered, it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Merry Christmas.
It's not Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
Don't get me wrong, there's one or two good laughs.
Oh good, my dog found the chainsaw.
Should be the last line of every Beethoven movie. But for the most part, it just needed to be faster and a bit more creative. Now, to the film's credit, there was a major change that had to be made. The original climax had Jamba and Pleakley teaming up with Nani and hijacking a plane to go after Lilo, who was accidentally taken by Captain Gantu. After 9/11 happened, though, the directors called up Disney and said, "Don't worry, we're changing it." Seeing the original with a plane flying through the city, crashing into buildings, yeah, this was probably a good change. With that said, seeing a spaceship just chase another spaceship isn't anything a lot of animation audiences haven't seen already. But again, with the time they had, it's not a bad workaround. Stitch gets Lilo out the Dr. Mario pill, but is ultimately captured in the end. They start to see, though, that he's not as dangerous as he has indeed grown a heart.
This is my family.
He says what every woman who's ever slept with me says.
It's little and broken, but still good.
Except that last part. And they decide to let him go. It also helps that Cobra knows about the aliens and even made up the mosquito story to keep Earth safe.
CIA?
Convinced an alien race that mosquitoes were an endangered species.
Why'd you recognize Stitch as an alien right away? Oh god, not another Bobbleheads movie! Oh. The house is rebuilt to include Pleakley and Jamba. I laugh my ass off how much it looks like Stitch is smoking, and their family not only grows closer, but also bigger. That's right. They do add a dryer to their home. Oh,
Eventually.
nobody's ever truly prepared! And that was Lilo and Stitch. For what I already thought was a really good movie, I will admit it is even better years later. Where several Disney films have a little bit of a dated feel in the early 2000s, this one still remains pretty timeless. Even the aliens, who I thought were only okay originally, are a little better when you compare how much mean-spirited violence is usually in their subtext. Granted, they're not as good as what they do with them later. I personally think they're much funnier in the show and spin-off movies, but it's not really about them as much as it is the title characters. Both Lilo and Stitch bring a solid amount of heart and comedy that's hard not to be charmed by. Even though this is an all-too-familiar story, hiding aliens, losing parents, the meaning of family, and so forth, it really is the uniqueness of the main characters and the delicate care of the filmmakers that makes it feel brand new. It's hard to believe people have been enjoying this for 20 years, but I know there's even more enjoyment coming up in the near and far future. I'm a nostalgia critic guy, remember, so you don't have to.
626 will not come easily.
So yeah. Also there was a little meme that was shared a few years ago. It was basically Lilo and Stitch late. Oh God, I made a mistake doing a Google image search. But it was basically where Stitch doesn't age. It basically was him hugging Lilo, and it showed Lilo older and older and older, and then the last image was literally Stitch sitting by her tombstone, and I was just like, that feels, yeah, that hurt. That hurt a lot. See. So where's the? Again, I really wish that they had that meme on there, but instead I can't find it anywhere. So anyway, this one was. I'm glad Doug talked about this. I really enjoy Lilo and Stitch. I think it's a good film. As time has gone on, I've only grown to enjoy it more. I relate with some of the characters more. It's great film altogether. So I guess right now that's gonna do it, everybody. This was the Nostalgia Critics review of Lilo and Stitch. Be sure to check out Doug's channel by clicking Channel Awesome in the title of the video, and be sure to leave a like on our video. It helps us out a whole lot. And I guess until next time, I'm Nate. I'll see you then. Peace.